Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Berlin Select Board meeting. Today is Monday, April 25th. We continue to meet virtually only in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we have a call to order at 7 o'clock. All right, announcements. Nothing's really changed. Meetings of the Berlin Select Board are generally recorded for transmission on both the Berlin Cable Television Access Channel and YouTube. Your voice, image, and/or phone number may be recorded. So up first, we have approval of minutes from Coffee Talk, and then last Monday as well. Chris, I see that you caught a couple errors on them.
Yes, I talked with I talked with Mary today when I was in signing the warrants and told her about them.
Okay.
What you see in the folder is what is as amended. So if you vote those are as amended.
So move.
Second.
All right, thanks for the catch. Motion and a second. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe, aye.
All right, approval minutes done. Correspondence. Hello, Margaret. Welcome. Lovely to see you.
Let me open my mic. Lovely to see you too. The only correspondence I have actually relates to an agenda item tonight. We did receive another email from the neighbor of Berlin Auto Parts this morning. I need to forward it to the board. It was only sent to me, but it expresses concerns from activity that was going on there this morning. So I will forward that to the board now. I apologize. But my hope is that we address this under tonight's agenda item.
Hi. All right. Let's see. What else on the agenda? General public comment. Nothing from Eloise and Eric. Right. I have one that I'd like to share for that. And you know me, if I don't write it down, I either forget about it or do something else through it. So I just wanted to say something a little bit about our meeting last week. As the governing body and elected leaders of this town, we must hold ourselves to a higher standard during our meetings. We must remember to not talk over each other, to not interrupt each other, and allow others to speak with the same courtesy that you expect when you speak. We are all very passionate about the issues that brought before us, either for them or against them, but we are passionate. But the way that we interact could influence how other committees and commissions act. Follow our lead when we do it well. Learn from our lead when we don't do it that well. As the chair for this term, I take full responsibility and accountability on this, that at times I should not have been as informal as we have been for the past year. Going forward, let us continue to work well with each other. Let us continue to learn from each other. Let us push each other to think outside the box for solutions and better ways to serve the residents of our most awesome town. All right. So
Very nice.
after that, hearing and appointment and presentations, Dennis is out sick, so we definitely wish him a speedy recovery. We have until 7:30 when we have our hearing on the poll for 58 South Street. So I'm thinking that we should be able, we've got a half hour, we should be able to zip through as much old business and new business as possible. So, oh, no, I already asked for general public comment. Never mind, forgot that. All right, Margaret, you're up. TA report.
Okay, I'll be quick so we can squeeze in
don't be
even
quick.
more.
We have a half hour. You don't need to be
Okay,
quick.
so first of all, things for the board to anticipate in upcoming meetings. Acceptance of donations. I understand that Berlin Baseball is actually going to use a combination of their own funds and a donation by Clinton Savings Bank to purchase the scoreboard. So the funds that were appropriated at the special town meeting in the fall for baseball will be used toward the installation of the scoreboard and the announcement booth, or the announcement box they're going to be putting there. So we're working on that procurement, but the board will have to accept the donation once the scoreboard is received, because that is being placed permanently on town property. The next is a donation acceptance from a donation to the Agricultural Commission. I believe they are going to have a large tiller donated to the commission. So the chair of the Ag Commission will notify the board when it's time to accept that piece of equipment as a donation. The Historical Commission is going to need an additional $500 in funding for the Bullard House threshold work. June Miller has notified us of this, and the Historical Commission, I believe, is going to be meeting on Wednesday, and we'll vote a recommendation on that. So that's something to expect in one of your upcoming meetings. The next thing I have is that, I don't know if you remember the Maya Wellness Grant application process that I mentioned a long time ago. It's been in the works for quite a while. We have actually been awarded a $5,000 grant for some fitness equipment for the employee fitness room downstairs in the town office and public safety building. So there is a treadmill, 4 sets of dumbbells, and the flooring, the padded mats for the fitness equipment. So again, we were awarded $5,000 for that equipment. I wanted to give you a very brief follow-up on the ZPT solar discussion. As you remember, the board approved use of special counsel for an appeal at the appellate tax board. Molly and I did meet with our solar consultant and special counsel regarding this matter. And there'll be more information coming back to the board. Essentially, the Massachusetts Climate Act that was passed last year did change a lot of rules for large solar developments. And we anticipate that there are going to be changes, or at least we're hoping that there might be changes in the appellant's interest in executing a pilot agreement with the town. Currently, they're responsible for paying personal property taxes. And once we work out asset values, we may be coming back to the idea of a pilot, or they may be willing to discuss it. And then lastly, we did put out an RFQ, or a scope of work statement, for the HD and hybrid meeting room upgrades for the Cable Access Committee. 2 quotes were received on Friday, and unfortunately both exceed the appropriated amount. So I have to reject the quotes. Brittany has said she also has a few things on the RFQ that she's interested in modifying. So we are going to be rejecting all quotes and starting from scratch. And it's going to be this time, the next time it's going to be outside the state contract. We were trying to do that as a streamlined approach, but it's not working out that way. So that's all I have.
Margaret, is there going to be any sort of impact to town liability insurance levels for these donations? The scoreboard, a tiller? I forget what the third one was.
Well, the tiller is going to be covered under our personal property. We have coverage for equipment already. I don't think that that's going to be, and I also don't believe the scoreboard would be, but that's a great question for Maya. It's something we could ask. The structure itself, as far as the the announcement box, right? It's going to be a very small building with probably very low value. It's not going to have electrical hookups or anything like that. So I don't anticipate there to be significant changes to our insurance premium.
Wouldn't the announcement box have the electrical needed to do announcements? I mean, I imagine they're
I don't know if they're going to run an extension cord over to there, but I did ask that question, and they said no, electric is not being installed in the building at the moment.
And we don't have a rough size of that building, do we?
Yes, we do. I want to say it's 8 by 16.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a fairly small building.
Yep. And then the tax appeal board one, is at some point, we're going to need to go to executive session to talk about our opinions, or is it just because we are clear that we want to have a pilot agreement, there's no reason
Yeah,
for us
that-
to go into executive session?
Yeah, there's no reason, that wouldn't be a legitimate reason to go into executive session, not unless things were getting, heading
Right.
toward any kind of litigation, but no, not for a pilot agreement. That's entirely the board's decision. So once we get more
Okay.
information, we'll fill you in.
And did I read that like the difference in valuation is between like 3 million and 17 million or something like that? I
Yeah,
thought I saw
there-
some
there are
pretty ridiculously
discrepancies.
high numbers.
Yeah, there are some differences in valuations. Now, some of it could be attributable to them building in fees for permits, for the interconnection costs, which could easily run, they could easily run $1 million depending on how long a distance it is. So we do need clarification on that, and we will be asking for that.
And so they're currently not connected to the electric grid. That's what we've been able to hold over their head to get to some sort of agreement, correct? They're still not, they're not currently earning any money off of it.
I do not know that they are in commercial operation yet. I would have to check on that. I know that they've had work done there, but again, what you just mentioned, that was the amount that they reported to the state. So these are things that we need to get to the bottom of.
Chris, any questions? Margaret, I have one for you, but I'll wait. I'll let Chris go first.
No, I'm fine. I did read the email and I think I understood it.
Margaret, I know I'm like 99.999% positive. The email that came in about the live broadcast for the baseball games, which I think would be very cool. We have nothing to do with that, right? It'll all be cable, whatever additional costs that
Well-
are assumed, it will come from cable.
It's a great question, because there is, I sense that this is an expression of interest in volunteering to do the taping. If this turns out to be an employment situation, we would have to pay them out of PEG access funds. So more on that. I haven't seen a response on it yet.
I just want to, I do know that if they are going to be doing more taping, it is going to cost not the town directly, but it is going to cost more money for cable to edit those and to air them. That would be my only cost right now. It's not costing the town. It's coming out of the PEG grant. But we have had a large increase with all of the Zoom meetings and the other taping now of the meetings and things. So it was something that was sent out as a concern of cable, that they were going to run out of money as far as the actual costs associated with the production and being able to actually broadcast reruns, I guess is the way you look at it, not so much a live. But if they were going to tape it and then redo it, there could be added costs.
So who pays for cable to do programming, say, for example, for 19 Carter or the Historical Society?
That is all paid for from our PEG access funds, all of it, all the events, all the meetings, and all the educational things. Public, educational, governmental, it's
Okay.
all covered under our PEG access funds. I guess I would, just putting my 2 cents in there, I would maybe look or ask the Cable Access Committee how they would prioritize public, educational, and governmental to make sure that they capture the essential meetings and things like that, and events, and not run over budget.
Yeah. For a
Because
longest
the
time,
intent of the intent of the license agreement is for those fees to pay for the service. So,
right. And for the longest time, Berlin had nothing out there. It's nice to have things out there, but now we're really going gung ho. So.
All right. Any other questions for Margaret on her TA report? All right. Next up is the TA search and selection process. So I know that we were presented with two options as to which we wanted MRI to do. So, you know, I'll open it to the floor. Margaret, Scott, Chris. Preferences, why one, not the other? We'll go from there. June too, please pop in.
I think we talked a little bit about this last, well, week and a half ago.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And we were just going to try to keep it down under 10,000, correct?
Right, so I thought their full proposal was like 9,800 and they could do it cheaper.
9,800, not, sorry,
Go ahead, keep going, yep.
no, I don't mean to talk
Good.
over.
I'm
It
not
was
offended.
9,800, not including advertising. So we'd have to kind of get a sense of what they mean by advertising. We could certainly do our own. And we may be able to do it for, you know, a couple of $100. But I would assume they're going to put it on their own recruitment site. So if we just lead people to that.
Right, that even if we spent, I can't imagine we would, but $1,000 on advertising, that doesn't push our contract with them over $10,000. That would be a sort of a separate tax, so it wouldn't trigger other
Mhm.
pieces. And I don't remember because I only briefly looked at it, but they do the bare bone stuff was significantly cheaper. But I'm looking at just how much we're going to want out of Margaret to wrap up before she goes, and the limited admin staff around town office anyway. I think $9,800 is the way to go, and that I am fine engaging them with that in that contract, but you know, I could be talked out of it if there's other strong opinions in a different direction.
Well, we do have an awful lot of loose ends that I would appreciate Margaret being able to take care of rather than doing some of the menial tasks that perhaps a search group would do.
I'm trying to find, if anyone can put their finger on it quicker, both the two offerings that they had, just so that we can put it up and folks in the audience or folks on playback can kind of see, you know, because when you talk about, oh, a little over 9, a little bit less than this, it's kind of nice to give it some meat. And I know it was in an email. I just
Yeah.
can't.
It should be in the drive. Let's see.
Well, one was the 2019 contract.
Right, they're referred to as the comprehensive package and the assistance package.
The
Oh, there's the assistance
2009
package. Yep.
Yep, the 2019 was the comprehensive package. So all we need to do is pull up the scope of work in that.
So I was gonna say, I have it, but
Okay,
that's good. Yep.
Oh, great, thank you.
And so.
oh, here we go, here, okay.
If we start on page 4 of 6, which is 4 of 6 is the assistance package. It's the smaller of the two. Well, I was trying to find the price tag on it because I thought I had it a moment ago at 5, but now I can't find that number.
Well, he offers it in the email. He
Right
offers
there.
it in the email for, typically he
Okay.
says they're in the $4,500 range, 4,000 to 4,500.
For the assistance package, so that's the lower one.
Right.
And then, what was the higher one, Margaret? Around
9,800,
9,800?
yes.
And so I think, so if you, sadly, it's the other way. So pages sort of 2 and 3, I think are sort of the added things you get for the comprehensive package.
Yeah, and here's the comprehensive.
Right.
From a candidate's perspective, it was very comprehensive. And I'm certainly not suggesting, you know, or recommending one way or another to the board. But again, from a candidate's perspective, they were extremely thorough in the comprehensive package, extremely thorough, start to finish.
Right. I think the biggest thing they add to the comprehensive package is that they do some more vetting of the candidates. They narrow down the applications to a smaller group. And that and for someone who was on the hiring committee, the package we got from them on each of the candidates was quite thorough because it included all those sort of essays and the background checks and other stuff they had done. And so sitting there, instead of us pushing off to a team or ourselves or someone else, 30 candidates and some information on all of them, down to maybe 10 to 12 with some more comprehensive background, I think makes it much easier for us to get to a good candidate.
So Margaret Majune, start calling you Majunerit. Where does this money come from? Either the 45 or the 98?
Either one is going to require an end of year appropriation transfer. And there is money that is available to be transferred. I'm looking, I've actually reached out to Dennis to ask if he would allow the unemployment line, which has had $0 spent out of a $50,000 appropriation, asking if he would be okay with allowing funds to be used for this.
Right. They would transfer like into we have a consulting line, don't we? A select board?
That's right. They would transfer into the consulting line. Yep.
All right, so Margaret, you're a well-seasoned TA.
Is that another way of saying I'm old?
No. And as it was coming out my mouth, I'm thinking, oh my God, she's going to think that I'm calling her old. Experienced, greatly experienced. You'd go with the higher package just so that, because I think we all, I know at least I did, had a huge eye-opening as to what a TA really does and the skills that you need to bring to a town. For this. I think we've been spoiled with you, for that. But would you recommend, like, if you were applying for a TA job, would you want to see that level of detail that's provided in the full package for?
All right, I'll only speak for me. In the interest of the town, I would. A town administrator needs to be, I should be vetted very, very heavily. And I think in the interest of the town, I would want the town to cross all its T's and dot all its I's before selecting a candidate. That said, if you went, I'm sorry, I hate to be wishy-washy, but if you chose the assistance package, you could kind of select components that you feel would be most important to the town in selecting a new town administrator, and that could potentially cost less than the comprehensive package. So there you go.
June's waving at us again.
Oh, hi, sorry, I was looking down at my notes.
Is there any way that we could do possibly an in-between the two? Because I was just thinking, I like the idea of us really focusing on things that we think would be more beneficial to the town versus a lot of extras that maybe the town doesn't need. I don't know how much Margaret was in the initial search that they actually did and questions that were asked and all of that type of things, because where you were our first, we as a town really didn't know what to expect. And I think we still have so much more to learn going forward, I think. I don't like the idea of spending money, but I definitely think this is someplace that we really should not skimp because this could turn into a very important decision, I think, a decision for the town. But I didn't know where you said that there's a way to pick and choose what we're looking for. If there's, I know there's an overall.
Right, but I think we could go to them with a comprehensive package and say, here are sections I want you to spend less time on and not as detailed. That whole first section, which talks about in-depth interviews with appointing authorities. we did that a couple of years ago. I think Margaret, I would trust her to look over what we built and say, okay, this is what we thought it would be 2 years ago. Here's a couple of tweaks we need. And if he wants to talk to like the three of us a little bit, but I don't want that. I am nervous about time. He talks about 90 days and 12 weeks. That gets us 1 month past the end of Margaret's contract. And so I'd love to figure out a way to cut a couple of those things out, not as much for cost, but as much for timeline.
Like, this is like the biggest decision that
Mhm.
the board will have to make. When I was on school committee, we did a lot of superintendent searches because we had people going in and going out. And I have to say that I think 1 or 2 times, I think we may have done the search ourselves without a search committee. It is utterly time consuming. And we're not, we haven't done it before, the three of us. So I would trust that we need to have someone to help us out. And I think just in order for Margaret to concentrate on some of our loose ends, as we call them, I think it would be best if we just went ahead with the $9,800. This is just one of the biggest decisions, the biggest decision I think that we need to do in order to get the best person for our town.
I agree. I mean, if you look at the comprehensive recruitment package, I mean, honestly, number one, you can skip. Whether it was, Chris, they talked to us, prior to Margaret coming, Scott's around, Margaret can certainly input, and all of us can, but that number one, when they met with all of us to, what do we want? What do we don't want? What do they need to have? That took considerable time
Right.
to meet with us and then put it together. So if you just out of number one, that's done, work with the, to Scott's point on the timeline, that, guess what? We need to have somebody in place by, work backwards. That doesn't take a whole lot.
What if we, if Margaret wasn't opposed, if she spoke to, is it Steve that you're talking to?
Alan is the president,
Alan.
is the one that I've,
That's right.
yeah, but Bob Mercier was the person that did it with Steve. I think
Okay.
yeah.
Well, if you weren't opposed and you saw that there were things like Peg brought up, would you be opposed to negotiating a bit with them?
Always willing to negotiate. Let's see. Yes, I could do that. You're absolutely right too. One is not necessary, and that's something. If there are any key pieces under number one or key areas the board would like to focus on essays, that's easy enough for me to gather from the board and give it to them, right? So it's not something that they're going to need to solicit. So yes, I can talk with Alan and see if we can negotiate.
Because
A
I'm
bit
not
of a
sure I
look.
would want to go to the $4,500 one, but if we could negotiate a little bit and cut out some pieces that took time and a little bit of money, that would be very helpful.
Well, Margaret, I'm thinking on your identify critical organization issues and challenges. Can you just fork over your to-do list?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that might scare people.
let's hope it's shorter.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's shorter in a couple of months.
Just give them like one page at a time,
Yeah.
one in May, in June. All right. So
I'll go.
I don't know, do we have a motion to,
Okay.
do we have a motion to spend maybe up to $9,800 and see if it can,
Yeah.
Right.
okay.
Yes, so I think it is. Authorize Mark to negotiate and sign, or do we want to come back? Because I think we need to sign so we get something going again. I'm nervous about time.
I could actually sign if the board designates me. I don't think there's any harm in doing that. I can run it by
Right.
you, and if you authorize me to sign,
Yep.
I can do it on your behalf.
I think up to 9,800 with the idea, we've given her guidance that sort of that first section, community profile and challenge statements, is a section I think we can do lighter on. Everything else we definitely need, because that's what we're hiring them to do. I will second Chris's motion.
All right. So Scott and Chris, does your motion include also authorizing Margaret to
Yes,
sign?
yes.
Yes.
Sign a
Okay.
contract up to $9,800.
All right. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, I.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that. And look at us being timely.
7:30.
I know, timely folks. All right.
We can go back to talking about telephone poles.
Oh, boy.
I'm wondering if our call-in user one is our, oh,
National
he is.
Grid,
It is our next, our,
Yep.
and next grid, N-grid person.
Where
So
did it
on
go?
the agenda was to talk about the joint National Grid and Verizon petition for a pole placement at number 58 South Street.
This should be Laura Napolitano. Laura?
This is she.
Go ahead, Margaret. I know that you want to, go ahead.
So Peg, you'll just want to announce, make that announcement. Well, you don't have to read the entire public hearing notice, but announce that the hearing is opened at such and such a time, and then you'll close it later.
All right. Oh, I don't have that up. Hang on. Let me get it quick. For that, apologies. I should have had that up. But
I
not.
could share.
Yes, could you? That'd be awesome instead of me scrolling.
I could also just read if I knew what sections I'm reading too. Do you want me to read?
Yeah.
Let's see,
Just
I
the
think we're
first one.
saying, right. So I wish I knew the section I was reading. The Berlin Board of Selectmen is holding a public hearing on Monday, April 21st, starting at 7:30, where during the board's regularly scheduled business meeting to hear the petitions filed for a pole and wires located within the public right of way. It doesn't say on here where though. It says the three ways people can log in is on Zoom or on telephone. And maybe I don't have the right one in front of me because I thought it said, oh, South Rest. The petition is dated. So this petition in March 15th and received April 11th. Massachusetts Electric Company doing business as National Grid and Verizon in New England have jointly petitioned the select board and requested permission to locate poles, wires, fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protective fixtures along the across the public way. At South Street, National Grid will install one jointly owned pole on South Street, beginning of the point approximately 10 feet east of the center line to the intersection of South Street. Install a pole riser for underground service for new residential development. Locations approximately shown on the plan attached, Town of Berlin, petition 76 South Street. Hopefully I got all the stuff we're supposed to say.
The hearing is now open at 7:30.
And the hearing is now open, yeah.
PM.
Thank you.
Joint effort. All right.
I'll screen
Laura.
share. I'll screen share the map.
Okay. All right, Laura, over to you. We'll take it away.
Oh, well, basically, you've said everything I needed to say in the reading.
So again, this is a single pole, correct? Just one pole is going up?
That is correct.
And I know that Chief Shartner is in the audience. Is there any, were there any concerns? I know that there's usually a bunch of folks that will chime in and, give a thumbs up or.
All the
voice
department
concern.
feedback was in favor.
Excellent. All right.
And this is going to support what is commonly known as the Capes of Berlin. Is that the name of the development this is
Yeah.
supporting?
I don't know if it's still called Capes of Berlin, though.
It might not be.
Yeah, I think it changed.
It is for that project. It's a one pole on the street to bring underground utilities to the development.
Correct.
So P18 is what it's talking about. And the other poles still
Mhm.
exist at this point, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, that's right. All the other poles are existing. We're just adding the one new jointly owned pole.
So
And Laura, just since you're on the phone, you might not see the map is up
Yeah.
for everyone to see who's in the meeting.
Okay. Just to show the locus.
Yep.
Chris, any questions? Scott? Oh, Margaret, yes?
No, I just wanted to say, I found one little thing in the petition kind of humorous. It was for an underground residential development. I don't know if anybody else caught that, but I just found that kind of funny. I noted it.
Well, maybe they're onto something that they haven't told us about, just saying. Mhm.
Surprise.
And in the current view, I can't actually, and it's easy for me to see who's in the audience, but I did not think there were any abutters in the audience.
Well, you could still ask if there's any questions from the
Yeah,
audience.
right.
Let's see. I do not see any hands raised in the audience, so I think we are good to go for potential motion and a vote.
I would move that we support adding the pole to support the residential services of that new development.
Second,
Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe, aye.
All right,
There you
well,
go,
we can
Laura.
officially close the meeting at, or the hearing at 7:34 PM with an approval on your poll, Laura.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a nice evening.
Yes, you too.
You
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Oh, that was quick. Okay, so where did we leave off? Scrolling. So we are down to the annual town meeting motions, review and select board motion assignments. All right.
These are in draft form still. They are in the hands of legal counsel for review. And I understand the Conservation Commission is going to be meeting on Wednesday night to potentially vote on a modification to the motion under their article, I believe, 23.
Yes, that came through today for a meeting. And then Margaret, obviously on that one, any changes, are they going to be subject for town council review? So they'll do them what, Monday night? Or will we, I'm assuming we probably won't hear back from Concom until Thursday. So how will that work?
Well, town council has already been sent the motions. They have already, we did, I received information last week about section E of that particular article. That noted, let me pull up the article here, that noted any grants or funds so received to be used to the extent consistent with law to first return to the general fund. The CPA, I understand the CPA disallows that. So I have already reached out to town council on that particular potential modification. However, the article does say consistent with law. So if the law doesn't allow the general fund to be repaid from reimbursement grants first before repaying CPA, then we have to comply with the law. So town council already has that question, and they have the complete set of draft motions that you're looking at now.
Is anybody partial to any motion, that you that you've read through over the
No.
weekend? No.
Although it was a tiny bit chaotic at last town meeting, the idea that we get there with scissors and cut them up and then just divide them up. And in some respects, it's not just us, but it's also going into the audience and say, I think you're on, Carolyn, I think you're doing number 23, Stan, I think you're taking care of the budget, to also confirm with them that they think they're coming up to make those motions too. And so that we do so many of them. I think many of these early current fiscal year ones are going to fall to us though, I believe.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the only one I've been stopped on the street on of all the motions of the town meeting is Article 1, which is the
Really?
$81
Yeah,
one, yes.
paid bill. All right.
The question is like, why is this taking up town meeting time? Why can't we do this in a different way? And well, state law says no.
So,
The
Go ahead.
person who is listed as the sponsor of the bill, is that the person that generally will read the motion?
Yes,
So like article number 1, the police chief?
yes. Unless we might just take that one because it's sort of more administrative, even though it falls to the police department.
Margaret?
The finance committee last year, and I think the prior year, preferred to do all the finance related motions. So I don't know if they'd be interested in doing this one as well. So that's something we'll have to ask FinCom on Wednesday night.
So as a backup, can we just, is anybody willing to take like 1 through 6? And then we can always ask finance, slide over to their table and see if they'll take, 1.
Yeah,
All right. So does anybody want 1
think-
through 6?
since I ended up with all the end of meeting ones last year, I'm gladly to take the early meeting ones this year.
All right, sold. All right, so I'm writing it down, Scott. It's in pen now. All right, Scott. 2. Scott. And then 6, Margaret, we're passing over, yes, but we still need to pass over that.
Yes.
Okay.
I think there needs to be a motion to pass over. Yeah.
There'll be a motion to pass over, yeah.
All
I'll
right,
still do that
so,
one.
all right, so Scott, for now, you're off the table. All right, Chris, do you want 7?
That would be fire and EMS, I think.
So do we want to ask Chief up, or do we just
Yeah.
want him there to
I
explain if
can
there's
do it.
questions?
I can do it if it would be the fire chief. Which
Motions
I,
are made by people from town.
Yeah, typically, I think the FinCom may want to take that one and the following one.
All right.
well,
Right.
maybe you need to check with them first then.
Yeah, but I'd rather assign them now because we
Yeah.
only have a half an hour and
Yeah.
I would rather
Yeah.
have us ready to go
Yep.
and then pass it over instead of trying to juggle at 6 o'clock next Monday night. All
I
right,
think this assignment also is along the lines of, I'm responsible for 1 for 6. So either I'm going to do them or I'm going to find someone who's going to do them.
Mhm.
all right. All
I'll
right, so
do
Chris
9.
has
I'll do
7.
9. I'll do 9 through 15.
Oh, aren't you funny? No. All right,
All right,
Uh,
I'll do 7 through 15.
okay, well, okay, and then 8 will really be cable access if they need that. All right, so
Right,
Chris,
yeah.
all right.
I could even do
Chris?
16.
All right, hang on, I'm writing. Honest to God, hang on. Yeah, you guys are gonna like hose me with like the awful ones, aren't you? All right,
We're
One
going to
for
pick the
the
ones that
take-
require like,
Well, Scott took mine.
great. Oh, wait a minute, you know what? Okay, fine, on 17, I think we just have June stand up and do that one.
What's number 17?
revolving funds bylaw
amendment.
change.
Oh, I could do 17 too.
All right,
I mean, isn't that,
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
just like housekeeping, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, we're
Anybody
adding
has
some and
any
subtracting
questions
some.
though? June, I'm gonna appoint
I'll
to
be
you.
there. I'll be there.
June's always right in the front. All right.
I think
In the
Cable-
motion, they may even, Barry may even allow the motion to be as printed in the warrant for this town meeting. So
Right.
could
Yeah.
be fairly straightforward.
All right, so.
I
18,
think cable access is going to take 18
yep.
because they're spending on what they do. And so if they're up front making the motion and,
All right.
But if nobody comes forward, Peg, it's yours.
well, I think we could find someone with cable access. We could ask them ahead of time. It might be there's no one behind the camera, and if they move around or equipment
Right.
breaks,
Yeah.
it's suddenly not recorded, but,
Well, and I
All
think
right.
just because it's the Peg access.
right.
I told you the first time I was on the board, I'm like, I get to spend money? I was
Yeah.
excited, and then I read it
Yeah.
and went, crap. All right,
We're gonna find funds that say like a Scott spending and Chris spending too.
yes, Mrs.
Two
Narowitz.
questions. All right, so cable might also do Article 8 then. I just want to
Yeah.
make note of that.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, and who is doing Article 17 again?
Chris
Okay,
is with help from June.
I'll be your
Okay.
backup.
Okay,
All right,
you gotta sit up front then.
Capital
You're right
planning is,
there.
capital planning is gonna do 19.
Yeah.
I turned two pages.
oh, and this is
FinCom does 20.
yep,
Community Preservation Act does 21.
Yep, so that's Tim Wheeler.
Right,
Yep.
historical is gonna do 22.
Yep. Carolyn will do 23.
Yep, and I think it's gonna actually be June Miller for 22. I think at the last historical sheet
Yeah.
was,
All
and
right,
Carolyn's gonna do 23.
right. Dennis or Molly for, well, actually Dennis, because he's a town guy, for 24.
Yep,
Bridge
the-
training,
the chief,
yep. Call up
Eric's
Chief
in the audience, so
Shartner.
we're warning him now.
So
He's not a
Chief would
resident.
need leave
then.
of town meeting to make
Yeah,
a
not a
motion because he's not a resident. So,
Peg?
we can have, oh, Peg.
And then,
Stabilization is gonna be FinCom again?
yep,
Stan or one of them?
Mhm.
Stan or one of them.
I think Tim Wheeler
27,
should do the
planning
next
board.
one. Yeah, planning board.
And then,
They can decide
Okay,
that
so-
because, so, yeah.
no, yeah, planning board,
Oh,
all right.
OPED?
Yeah, so is that, well, Richard won't be there, so,
I don't know. I thought he was going to actually be there.
all
No?
right, so we can invite him up. If not,
Yeah.
then. All
So
right,
Peg, could you do the motion and then just okay, ask to recommend, okay.
all right. And 29 will be Claire or somebody from personnel.
Oh my God, I marked the wrong one. Yes,
And then Jake break. Do we ask Eric or do we ask Fred? Oh, no, Fred's not a resident either.
um,
Well, you can give the motion, Peg.
Yep, and then bring him up.
And then ask if they could recognize Chief Shartner or Fred.
Okay. All right. And then zoning pretty much takes us through to the end. That's 31 through 36. So probably Tom Sanford again.
Yep. Or someone on, I mean,
Yep.
that committee can figure out among them.
Right. And then Chris, do you get the
Sure.
last one?
Yeah, I'll do the last one if you want me to.
Well, no, isn't it who's ever up for election gets the last one?
Oh, I don't know. If you want.
Sure.
Okay,
And then there's another motion that's not listed, which is the motion to adjourn.
So we now created
Oh.
a tradition.
Yeah, we've just created a tradition. The person up for election, the person whose seat is up, because someone could decide not to rerun. But,
Yes.
but that, yes, the person who is, this could be their last chance to say something, gets to say the last thing.
there you go. All right, so Chris, you got
and
those
it's not a
two.
campaign stunt.
Right.
All right.
Funny.
Hey, that wasn't too
Good,
bad.
that was easy.
So they'll
Yep.
be all cut and like ready for us?
Normally we just grab some of the handouts from the piece, but the hard part is that one of us needs to remember to bring scissors, because I think they were forever running around looking for
I
scissors.
cut them out so that you can just hand them to Eloise.
Oh, well, so yeah, and those things we hand to Eloise, we hand to the person who's going to make the motion.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll have them ready for everybody.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Hey, question, I'm hoping that town meeting is only one night, maybe a couple hours as indicated by Coffee Talk. Do we anticipate any babysitting needs, or is it too late to put that into play like we've had before?
Well, you could probably contact Tahanto
See?
and see.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing really controversial this time around. I mean, the other two,
No,
there's always been like a, you know,
In our pile of things to think about for town meeting, we should almost always have childcare and announce it ahead, because at this point, even it's getting close that people might not
yeah.
think about it, because if we regularly said there is childcare available, there's always childcare available, that might encourage a few more folks to show.
All right.
Did you want me to reach out to them, Peg?
Yeah, or tell me who, I'll call him.
The principal,
Uh,
Diane Tusseri.
Thank you. Are we providing snacks?
For people at town meeting or for the kids? Can I go to the kids or if we provide the kids snacks?
Look, if it
I need-
was for me.
I need childcare for me.
Yeah, if it was for me, I'd like some smart food and other things. But no, for babysitting for the kids, like water or. We have in the past, haven't we?
Why don't you talk to Diane Tusseri and then let us know, see what she thinks and then let us know. One of us could just pick it up.
Okay. All right, I'm on it. I'll send her and get her a note tonight.
Okay, well, let us know if you want us to do anything, pick up snacks or anything.
You betcha. All right, here comes everyone's favorite topic. Proposed town building clean up and clean out schedule. Margaret, thank you for bringing this up. It was extremely timely 2 weeks ago when we met that you were going right into a department head meeting.
Yes, so department heads did discuss this, and the proposal for the board's consideration is Wednesday, May 4th, close at 12 noon with cleanup starting at noon. And then Wednesdays, May 11th, 18th, 25, and June 1st, full day closures dedicated to cleaning up and cleaning out.
Can you send those dates to us at some point?
Yes, I just, I'm sorry, I put them in the email and I uploaded.
Right, April 14th, email.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. April
And I
14th.
just uploaded the email to the drive today.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that we will need to get something out on the town webpage and close pages so that folks know when they go into the building that June's not open, Dennis isn't open, Mary's cleaning, Margaret's cleaning, type of thing.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to
Right.
post advance notice. We should do that in hard copy at the usual locations and on our website. And we'll ask to put something on the cable bulletin board just to try to get the word out there as much as possible in advance.
Are we good with dumpsters and shredders?
Fred was working on ordering the dumpsters. The shredder, we have a contract shredder service, and they charge reasonable fees for extra boxes. I have to talk to them and see what they're
Okay.
going to do for us.
Are we going to need bodies to help carry? Because I think town offices are in decent shape with staffing there. People take care of their own space. It's the outbuildings that I have more concerns about, like the old highway barn. Who's going there to clean things out or take ownership, and the old firehouse and those sort of buildings like that.
Yeah, we don't want people to get hurt, that's for sure. So
Right.
we're going to have to try to coordinate this with Fred and his crew to make sure that things can be labeled and ready for the crew to take out of the buildings.
The other thing too is I think we're going to have to make sure that we send out an email, or even if it's a phone call to the different departments, because we have a lot of the boards and committees that I know has a lot of stuff floating around the buildings. And it's not necessarily labeled as such. So it may be a little bit difficult as far as what section, because the other day when I was looking around for something else, I happened to come across a couple of boxes of the old phones for the municipal buildings that were down in a back room. And so those, we have to find out how or who we would contact to be able to just throw them away, or do they have to go back to the original leaser or whatever?
No, they're goners. We own them. They're
Okay.
goners.
So, go ahead.
I was about to say, I think the default is that things unlabeled and unclaimed get tossed. As people are going to claim some things, people are going to say some things are trash, and then there'll be an in-between. I think the in-between trial is generally going to be things that are going to get tossed. And so if people want to keep them, they should keep them. And you're right, we have to get out to Lions Club, seniors, Boy Scouts, historical, and anyone else who has things stored in town buildings.
Margaret,
it's
you had
just a
mentioned that Victoria is willing to take the charge on this.
Yep.
So if the first date is May 4th, which isn't that far away, it's next Wednesday. Could we have, we don't meet on Monday. Are we meeting on Tuesday? the 3rd?
Yes.
Monday, town meeting. You'll
Oh,
be
yeah,
meeting.
Monday, town meeting. You're meeting for half an hour.
Oh,
We're meeting on Tuesday, the 10th because of elections.
Mhm.
all right. Well, then I guess we'll leave it in Victoria's dubious hands to come up with some sort of pattern
Tagging?
thought process of yeah, red,
Tagging, yeah.
yeah. And absolutely, everyone needs to understand you do not pick it up out of one building and shift it to another. It's like Marie Kondo. If it doesn't have meaning, you let it go. You want it, you keep it, it goes to your house. It doesn't, it doesn't shift. These things don't have legs and shift around and find life in another building.
We're not reorganizing.
Well,
Correct.
we could do summary. There could be
We
something
are,
like the pile is spread between 3 buildings and they're going to shrink the pile by half and it's all going to go to one building is definitely a benefit. And I think highway has things stored all over the place. If they could find better places to put them at their main building so it frees up space in other buildings would be great too.
Is everybody as excited as we are about this, Margaret?
I don't know if
Some of us
everybody
are.
is. I know some of us are. So-
I know. I wondered about the department heads and the
Yeah,
employees.
Well,
no,
they're-
they like the idea of having an opportunity to clean out stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Good.
Okay, awesome. Awesome,
And
awesome,
they-
awesome.
I think they should feel free also in some of that time to clean out some electronic stuff as well.
Mhm.
Like if your inbox is 17,000, maybe you can spend a few hours getting it down to something more reasonable.
Have you been looking at my inbox?
I was just thinking that too. What the heck?
Margaret, I gotta tell you, I spy it sometimes when we do the agenda and it has
Oh,
14,900 and I'm like,
I was gonna say, I haven't hit 17,000. It's what happens when
Control,
emails are
Alt,
flying
Select, Delete.
constantly.
I know, yeah.
Margaret, if it's important, they'll call you back. All right, so
So is there a
Next
motion
up-
we need for this, or is this just like, this is great, make it happen? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
please
this is
make it
good.
happen. So yay. You know what? We made the town look spiffy this weekend. Now it's time to make the in-town look spiffy as well. All right, next on the agenda, Margaret, do you have any TA hiring recommendations this week?
Not this week.
Okay. All right.
What do we have
zipping
for
down-
openings?
We have the administrative assessor. We have Fred's old position, heavy equipment operator / laborer / driver. We have another laborer driver position. We have the Community Preservation Act assistant and seasonal landscapers.
Okay.
I think Eric still has one person also,
Mm.
I think. And we
Oh.
have an EMT also.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
All right, so assessor admin, Fred's position, another highway position, CPA assistant,
Sorry.
seasonal landscaper person, a police officer, and EMT or fire, or both.
Fire.
Firefighter
Yes.
EMT, career firefighter EMT.
Okay, all right,
Thank you, June.
all right, 7.
So we
Okay.
need to have people take a look at the website if they're looking for an employment.
Yep. All right. All right, next up, I think we're moving down. We are into new business. So Margaret, you had talked about this a few weeks ago. We slid it down to this week. Was to start a discussion on potentially moving to bi-weekly select board meetings. I know that we shift, what is it, after July 4th, I think we shift to bi-weekly meetings and then resume after Labor Day. But obviously this would start to go year round.
Yeah, I was thinking one day and I thought, what are the benefits as opposed to, what are the pluses as opposed to the minuses of doing something like this? Certainly going to a bi-weekly schedule could, if the board allowed it to, cause meetings to go double the length that they currently do. Or, there could be there could be ways to kind of find efficiencies in meetings and, try to take care of some of the stuff in between meetings, so as not to spend much more time at the meetings. The reason I was thinking about it was I was thinking, how can there be efficiencies created for the board and the new town administrator and the staff? And this is one way because frankly, preparation for the board's meetings takes a lot of time each week. And because the meetings go weekly, there's limited time in between meetings to try to get research done and documents prepared and things like that for the board's action. So I thought, well, why not, put this out there to the board and see if you would consider the idea of moving to a permanent biweekly schedule.
I have thoughts, but I'll go last. Scott, Chris?
I mean, we currently all, well, I'll just talk for me, but get punchy after like 9 o'clock. So after we've gone on 2 hours plus, I think our efficiency at least my efficiency to communicate gets hampered a little bit. And I worry that if we start having 3-hour and 4-hour meetings, that would be painful. That said, I do agree that sometimes meetings grow and shrink to fit the available space, because there are times where like it's 9:30 and we're halfway through the agenda and we find a way to finish the rest of it off in 15 minutes. And so I would almost do it as a circuit breaker, that like we'll go to biweekly, but if we don't get through the agenda by 9:30, we schedule a meeting for the week that's in between to finish off the things that we're not getting to. Or something
Chris?
like that.
So I would just as soon have, like Scott said, shorter meetings every week. And if there's not anything that's time sensitive, just cancel the meeting.
I wouldn't mind going to bi-weekly meetings. I think, as we get into budget season, then that can't be a bi-weekly meeting. I think that there's certain times during the year that we're going to have to go weekly. God, can you imagine doing a budget meeting every other week? We truly, be sitting at the town offices and having coffee to keep up. But I don't know. I'm all right with moving to a bi-weekly, twice a month schedule. Try it. And if it works, great. And if not, then we just resume. It's just hey, we need to change this. But, again, especially for the TA, as we all seen the toll that it took on Margaret and June, TA 1 and 2, the meetings that they have to come to besides us, they've got to go to finance, they've got to go to personnel, they've been asked to come to other meetings too. I just think having it go every other Monday gives them an opportunity to catch up and do the work that they said, yeah, I'll get back to you, on that.
I think one of the options that the school committee has been doing is they meet monthly. However, if they always, I think they schedule a second meeting. And then if they need it, they use it. If they don't, they cancel it. I mean, it could be done something like that. Some of our meetings do get really late, and I think we kind of get tired. We get a little crabby. And it probably is a little bit easier to just have shorter meetings or just cancel a meeting. I mean, there's a few times when the agenda's been pretty short, we probably could have canceled it.
I think too, it will bring efficiencies if we know that we only have, we're only meeting every other week. Then make your point, make it clear, make it exact. Don't ramble. Get it out, get it done, type of thing.
Well, at least get us to a motion faster, because I think sometimes we push off a motion because, we can make it next week. And, maybe it forces us to get something done and moved on.
Mm-hmm. So do we want to put a motion on? Oh, Hi, Miss June.
My only concern is during the end of the fiscal year, when we're doing line item transfers, just to make sure that we either have scheduled meetings that we can always cancel if we don't have anything. But I know in the past, when we went bi-weekly, sometimes that does interfere with the, July 15th last warrant type thing. So that would be my only concern.
Well, on those, I mean, just reach out to the chair and just make sure you get it on the agenda, or say, hey, we need to meet because something just came up unexpectedly and we have to vote on it, type of thing.
And so, go ahead, Chris.
Do you think that it would be a good idea to wait until after we've hired another TA?
I usually post your upcoming fiscal year's agenda, scheduled open meeting calendar, and start building shell agendas that go up online, and also your Google Drive folders. That's a long time to wait.
Well, we could just.
You'll be on
play
your
it
you'll be on your bi-weekly schedule at the time the
The
new
TA
TA
comes in.
starts, because you'll be in the middle of summer.
So I'd like to think that maybe when we start our biweekly for the summer, that we plan on staying on that until it doesn't work anymore. Like, I think that said, I think we might decide that for the months of probably March and April, we go weekly, because that's going to be the budget and annual town meeting stuff. And so that we are sort of bi-weekly through, let's say February 20th, or we skip this since this way there's a holiday. Let's do, if we had the 27th, and then we're weekly against for the months of March and April. And then that gives us a chance to just, we have to, I don't know, I'm open to whatever we want to do for May and June. We could decide that's still bi-weekly or that's still weekly. I don't have any really strong feeling at that point. I'm just figuring that by the time we get to April, we'll have a good experience at bi-weekly and weekly, and a good sense of what we want to do going forward.
I think we're going to probably get into a role at some point, and maybe it would be easier to go bi-weekly then. And I don't see it happening now.
So you're proposing that we start our bi-weekly swing when we truly go bi-weekly.
Well,
in July.
we may even find that we can't go bi-weekly if we're in the middle of hiring. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't think this is a good time to do this.
Scott?
But I would always be in favor of canceling a meeting if you didn't have enough for an agenda.
I think the compromise that I see we could make now is let's still schedule them for weekly, but when we do agenda setting, really look at seeing if some of them can be canceled. And some of them we might even cancel before we get to agenda. I think we could find a pattern where the chair and the town administrator could look at, like, even on Wednesday, say, hey, we're supposed to meet on Thursday, but I don't see anything here that requires us to meet this week. Let's just cancel the meeting. I still would like to go bi-weekly during the summer months.
Oh yeah, it'd be nice. I hope we can, but there may be, we have to maybe schedule a special meeting, if there's interviews or something or other.
All right, so I propose that we, on paper, keep it as weekly until we swing to bi-weekly, but leave it at the discretion of the chair and the town administrator when they're setting the agendas on Thursday, that it's either there's nothing pressing, nothing on fire, we can skip Monday, we'll swing it to next Monday. And then come July, we'll see what happens. We'll see how things go. Who knows? Maybe in July, we actually have to meet, every week with the new town administrator. He or she may be like, hello, where'd you guys go? Come in.
Might be nice.
So- Sorry, you have a question. You have to wait 2 weeks for us to get back in. All right. So do we want to try that then? We'll stay weekly. Discretion of the chair and the town administrator on Thursday agenda setting to either go with the meeting or send out a cancellation. We'll start in July with our bi-weekly summer swing. And then we'll try it out through September, October. see how that goes. And then June, obviously, if we stay in that mode and there's anything critical that comes up on your side, just send out a message and ask for, hey, I know you're not meeting on Monday, but can we meet on Monday?
Remember, the summer is when my year end is.
Well, till
So you
July
need us to be,
15th, right?
do you need us to be around more than in the summer or less?
Yes,
Well,
Jesus around the 11th is going to be a very critical meeting for,
Yeah, I just,
For,
if you went
her.
bi-weekly, I just didn't want you to skip the 15th area because then that could be a problem.
All
so
right,
is the 15th
So-
of Friday, June. Can we do something on the 18th, or does it really mean that we have to do it on the 11th?
Has to be on the 11th.
Okay,
So the board has gone to bi-weekly in prior summers and this hasn't been an issue. It's a
Correct.
matter, it's a matter
Was
of
an issue.
timing.
Yeah,
right,
no,
just make
we're
sure
looking
the bi-weekly is correct. In other words, June doesn't want us to do the 5th and 18th. She'd rather us do the 11th and 25th.
I will draft a calendar for everyone to look at if that's helpful, and you can give it a once over quickly next week.
okay. All right, we'll swing this one
May
to
10th,
next.
Mary, May 10th.
Oh,
Okay.
well, they are meeting before town meeting, but yeah. if you
Yeah,
want to-
no, they won't do this at town meeting though, May 10th.
Fine. I will
Yeah.
have something for, it'll be uploaded to the May 10th drive.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank
All
you.
right, so we'll pop this on the May 10th agenda to review, maybe vote and get it done. Okay. All right, next up. So there is a waiver of the town's first right. Oh, nope, sorry, missed one. Back up. Review and approve sign requests from
Hmm.
Traffic Advisory Committee if needed.
There's
have
3
any?
of them.
Okay. All right, is Eric still around? Do we need Eric to come up to the front?
Yes, please.
Mr. Shartner, if you could please come to the big table. And if somebody can share the requests so that everyone can see them.
Mary, you got that?
If not, I do.
Hey. Yep.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you. All right, is Chief Shartner here?
Yeah,
There he is. Eric, you work in the dark.
It's after hours for me.
Okay. All right, Eric, over to you for the 3 street signs.
All right, so the first one here is on Boylston Road. There's a request to move the speed zone a little further towards the north to slow traffic down coming out of the intersection. DPW is more than happy to move the sign with the board's approval. Spoke with the Mass DOT, Fred did, and it is legal for the town to move it. I think a 1/100th of a mile.
1/10.
1/10 of a mile.
So is this coming down to 5 Corners that they want the street sign or want it
Yeah,
moved?
we're gonna put them both in the same spot up by Lincoln Road. We want to put them both where the speed zone changes. We want to put it on the same side. Right now, they're not on the same sides of the road. So one way is 40, another way is 25 in the same section. So we want to move the signs up towards Lincoln Road so that it's a 20 in a 20-mile zone, 40 or 45 and a 45.
Okay. Questions or comments for Chief on that one? No?
Looks good.
Right.
We need approval on each of these individually. So I move we approve moving the speed sign the 1/10 of a mile as the request says.
Second,
Stone Eye?
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe, aye.
All right.
All right. So the second one, you have Mary's is the second one there. So obviously we've had issues in Carterville with speeding cars after numerous traffic radar studies that we've done there and the enforcement we've done there, putting up all the speed signs, the electronic speed signs, to no avail. Cars are still not adhering, and this request is 1.5 years old, and the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee opted to put forward to the board the potential of placing 3 temporary stop signs at Carter Street and Highland Street as a temporary basis, and in 2 months would revisit with the neighbors. I would obviously follow up with a letter to all the neighbors in that neighborhood, explaining that this is going to be a 2-month trial and see where we're at after 2 months.
So Eric, to help enforce this, would the Berlin Police be setting up shop there?
Yeah, I mean, just as we do with radar, usually go right around the corner, right at the old railroad tracks there, and where one of the speed signs is, and we'll sit there.
Okay.
There were some neighbors who were opposed to this
Mhm.
originally, correct?
Yeah. There's it's probably from the. I mean, I can't remember the exact numbers. I think we had 18 on the meeting with us, on the Zoom meeting with us. And I think there was probably 3 or 4 that were outspoken against it. But, like I said, we've tried pretty much all of our means without spending lots of money, like on traffic trays, whatnot. I think that this would be the next alternative. There's not much relief with all the construction vehicles, that they've complained about. And so I think that this is going to be it. Like I said, give them a couple months, and we'll invite everybody back to another Traffic Safety Advisory Committee meeting and hear them out again.
So Eric, as Chief of Police, what's your opinion on this?
Well, I mean, right now, like I said, we've done all of our radar assignments there. Of course, people behave when we're present. It's definitely an issue. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I think the ultimate goal would be traffic trays, one near the railroad tracks and one probably just after the library. I'm not a big fan of the stop signs because I think that the noise is going to be worse than the traffic going by. But, and it's worth a shot. We have to try every avenue, I think.
What's a traffic tray?
Speed bump. That's the,
Oh,
that's what we have on Gates Pond Road. They're just.
all right, that's what they're called. Okay.
Yeah,
Good for you for asking, Peg.
I'm like, is Eric going to be standing out there, trays of cookies? If you would hear.
You're not speeding.
Okay.
Yeah, so with the board's approval, we'd put up 3 temporary signs. We give it 2 months from the time we put it up. One thing I did fail to put on this is another speed sign we want to move. Right now, the speed sign's actually in the intersection on the south side of Carter Street and Highland Street. We want to put that speed sign basically on the north side of Mary Porter's house. So we want to move the sign maybe 150 feet, just on the other side of the intersection. Because technically it's a 30 coming right through, right till you get to Carter Street as you're making the bend.
And I know I'm going to regret asking this because more than likely I'm going to get caught doing it. But would it be more enforcement of truly here's a ticket and here's the cost of it compared to, I know we just put this sign up and you probably didn't realize it, so here's a warning. Because I'm thinking of with a warning, people are just going to be like, just give me a warning. I'll blow through it. But if you hand me a ticket and all of a sudden my insurance jacks because of it, I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to it.
Yeah, so we'll probably take a similar approach that we did to Gates Pond when we did the Fosgate and Gates Pond Road 3-way intersection. Give people basically a pass, not a pass, but written warnings for the first few weeks and first time through, and then after that start enforcing and writing tickets.
Okay.
So whenever you get these put up, I think it would be a good idea to pick a date right there and then, because you're going to probably have phone calls and everything else from perhaps neighbors. So I would pick a date where you could say, we're going to relook at this, on such and such a date.
I definitely, I want to to have a letter in every person's mailbox before we even install them with the date of installation. And our plan behind that, it's going to be a 2-month trial.
Right, so back in, Chris, I think you should then pick your sort of the date the traffic advisory committee is going to meet in July, that this is going to have on the agenda. So your letter can say this is temporary and we have scheduled a July X date, you know, to discuss this, discuss the impacts of this so that people know that because we've all seen it. I've done it too. In 2 months, I'm going to go back and look at this, and then suddenly it's 3 years later and I've totally forgotten about it. Then I think if we are good at saying we've scheduled the meeting, you know, I was almost thinking the select board should pick a Monday in August where we're expecting you to come and present, that we're going to ask about it too, to make sure it just that 2 month doesn't get forgotten. I would love it to think that you have the meeting, everyone says, oh my goodness, this is way better than we thought it was going to be, and somehow the universe is aligned and everyone's on the same page. But I think that will help, especially the people who are opponents of it, to know that we are serious, that this is a 2 month experiment, and there'll be feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's all about community input. You know, it's hard for us to make I don't want to make the decisions for people living in the area, that's for sure.
Mhm.
You know, I don't have to sleep there at night.
Well, that's easy for us in August. Whenever Eric is due, we just slap that on his agenda to how that is. So that's easy. That's done. All
Yeah,
right.
so I can talk to Fred. If approved tonight, we can shoot for a mid-June installation, which really isn't that far away. It seems like it's far away, but it's not that far away, so.
So mid-June installation, so then it would only be up
So
June and
maybe-
July?
Right, see,
Well, I take that back. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking late August. Yeah, so yeah, we'd have to be by June 1st, and then I'd be back up in August.
Okay.
Yeah, so well, it still gives us 4 weeks to get it done.
Other questions, comments for Eric on this specific issue? This request?
I'll make a motion to approve the request from Mary Porter.
I will second as it's written. Yep.
Can we add the moving of the speed sign too, or should I wait till next month?
Nope, that's fine. Unless Margaret has some kind of an issue, I think that would be fine.
No issue here.
All right. Motion and a second. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
All right, Eric, you're 2 for 2. Let's see how you do on the third one.
All right, so a sign request for the intersection of Randall Road and Peach Hill. After reviewing it, speaking with Fred and obviously amongst the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee, we came up with a recommendation to place a stop sign instead of a yield sign on Peach Hill Road, and at Powers Road, prior to making a left on Peach Hill, a left turn yield sign.
All right, so you're coming down Randall. I've left the Berlin Country Club.
You have the right of way still.
All right, so I'm coming down Randall, and here comes Peach Hill. So then Peach Hill has to stop or propose that they would have to stop before continuing on to Randall. And is the other road that they're talking about over here before Coburn?
It's it's the new development right before Coburn. There's one house on it right now. So
Okay.
yeah, basically between Coburn and Peach Hill, there would be a sign that says left turn yield.
All right. Now, is this permanent? Would this also be a 2-month trial? Would this be?
If the board wants to do a trial on it, that's fine. I mean, these are roads I travel daily, multiple times, and I pretty much stop almost every time on Peach Hill. So like I said, I've driven it thousands of times, and I have no issues with that whatsoever.
Any questions for Chief Shartner?
No, I am fine with this. I move that we put in the street signs per this request, per the comments on this request.
Second,
Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
Awesome. Well done, Chief. 3 for 3.
Thank you.
keep us posted, and we'll make sure to see you in August whenever your time is due to talk about success or not success improvements for the Highland and Carter one.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna jump into parking regulations since we have him up here.
And
Yeah,
then
might
can
as
we
well.
follow that? Can we then follow that up with the Berlin Auto Parts licenses? Because
absolutely.
Chief will still be here. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, Chief, over to you.
All right.
Parking regulation amendments?
Yeah, so the parking regulations that you received, I believe in probably September, or October, prior to me taking over, we discussed them, and the one issue that we talked about, obviously through Carterville in the center of town, technically from when you come up into the center of town on the right-hand side, the sidewalk ends, but really goes up to the store, but cars park there. So we just changed section B there that says you can't park on a raised or elevated sidewalk. So basically a curb sidewalk you can't park on. It also protects Carterville because technically the west side of the road is a sidewalk.
Mhm.
Cars park there often, you know, for the neighborhood. And of course, you know, the general store, you know, we don't want to hurt their business as well. But everything else looked pretty much on target. And I mean, I don't think we're recreating the wheel here.
So nothing's been done with these, correct?
No, no,
All right.
no, it's just, we just went over them and this is our recommendation, go to the board.
Okay. So then if we approve, will there be some sort of notification to go out for the town, or is it going to be one of those similar to the stop sign? You know, the first one will give you a mulligan because maybe you didn't know, or you can claim that you didn't know, but the second one, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're gonna have to give it time. I mean, it's gonna
Mhm.
take us, we're gonna have to actually print ticket books too, so I gotta look into that. So we're actually looking at quite a bit of time before we can even start enforcing. I mean, by the time we come up, I mean, I'm sure we're not gonna, like I said, recreate the wheel with ticket books, but you know, by the time we get an approval and, you know, we get a part, we're gonna need a clerk too, a hearing clerk as well. I don't think has that been established yet?
Yeah, well, Steve in the treasurer collector's office has served as a parking clerk in his former capacity. So Dennis had mentioned that Steve would likely take that role.
Nice. Nice. One less person to look for. Our list is already long enough. All right. Any questions for Chief Shartner on this? Or additional questions?
Are you doing signs or anything for the elevated or not elevated?
No, I mean, obviously if people drive up on a elevated sidewalk, drive up over a curb, they kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of designated areas within the center of town that aren't elevated that are technically sidewalks, so.
Okay.
Yes, Margaret.
Steve, what do you currently do for someone who parks in a crosswalk or parks in a handicap spot? Do you ever encounter that at all?
We encounter that a lot. We just ask them to please move on. We don't have parking tickets in the town of Berlin.
I
So
see. Okay.
So,
Good. It's good there's a mechanism for enforcement now then.
So
Yeah.
I will make the motion to approve this parking regulation.
I will second.
Stone Eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe.
So Chief Shartner, when you come back in August, you're going to be a busy guy. You're going to tell us what's going on with the stop sign. You're going to tell us what's going on with parking. How you doing on your ticket books and where we are with that.
yeah, we'll get it going. Yeah.
All right. And then, yes, so moving up was to talk about the licensing for Berlin Auto Parts at 76 Coburn Road. There's a renewal for 5/1/22 through 4/30/23 for junk scrap metal license with restrictions, and then amend for January 2022 through December 2022 Class 3 motor vehicle sales with stipulations. Margaret, you had mentioned earlier that you received another letter that I gonna
Yeah.
assume that you were holding until now.
I read it late today and I just sent it to you. Did I forward it to you? I think I did.
Yes, yeah.
Just now.
Yes.
Okay. So, but the letter reiterates concerns that have been expressed in the past. And it started to make me wonder whether we should add an additional stipulation to the licenses. And that is disallowing trucks queuing on the public way outside of the entry to Berlin Auto Parts, because this person, who we've heard from several times, one of the issues is that the trucks wait right out there on the road. So they're queued up at 6:30 in the morning before the business even opens its doors, according to the permit. So I know it's a little late to be kind of thinking about this, but all loading and unloading of vehicles. Yeah, no, that's different. This is the queuing of trucks. So the lining up of trucks waiting for Berlin Auto Parts to open.
So are they on
The-
Coburn Road?
On the road. And we've seen videos of this, and I just, it's
I don't-
essentially, oh, go ahead.
Hang on, Scott. Go ahead, Margaret, finish. Margaret,
Finish, Margaret.
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Scott,
My concern, I mean, I have some sympathies for the neighbor, but Berlin Auto Parts does not own these vehicles, drive these vehicles, or control these vehicles. And so I don't know what they could do to stop private parties from doing what they are doing. I think if someone is violating noise ordinances, they should be ticketed. I think if someone is idling when they shouldn't be idling, they should be ticketed. But then I just wonder the ability of a private business to control the actions of others.
I'll ask the dumb question. Is that how you spell queuing?
I thought it was QUE.
yeah,
Yeah.
QUE.
QUE.
That's pull queue.
Yeah, that's pull queuing.
That's pull queue.
So Scott, I agree with you, but I'm also seeing that these trucks are clients of Berlin Auto Parts. The trucks that are lining up in the road, idling, waiting to get into the gates,
Mhm.
are doing business with Berlin Auto Parts. And I think that it should be incumbent upon Berlin Auto Parts to tell their clients, come here when we open. Don't sit out in the road idling for half an hour or queuing in the road for half an hour before we open.
Would they be able to queue in the road after 7 o'clock?
I guess that if the business is operating, I don't see why they couldn't. You may have multiple trucks wanting to come in at once, but to do it at 6:30 in the morning, I don't know. I just think it's before their operating hours, and I think that's
Yeah, but
not
that's
appropriate.
almost in direct conflict with number 8 of there shall be no idling of trucks for longer than 5 minutes. So if I can't get in till 7 and I loop the block and it's
And you're-
10 past 7 and there's 10 trucks before me, I'm now violating number 8.
Mm, mm.
And I can't
Well-
expect Berlin Auto Parts to be out there going, go away, come back, go away, come back.
Yeah.
Well, I think of a truck, if a truck could be waiting in the queue and not idling. You could turn off your
True,
engine.
too.
Mhm.
And so I go back to, I believe the neighbor is most concerned about noise. And so a truck that is quietly parked at 6 a.m. might not be as much of a concern as a truck that's idling at 6 a.m.
As long as the lights aren't
possible.
on that truck. But where that's a bad corner, I would assume that no truck would sit out in the street blind.
Mhm.
I mean, Eric, again, I don't know if you've been up there when this is happening. What are you seeing in terms of traffic at that hour on Coburn? Either way, going up, coming down. What are your observations, you and your officers?
Oh,
You're on
you're
mute,
on
Eric.
Mhm.
There we go.
There you are.
The times I've come into work at that time, I haven't seen any trucks. I know when we get calls in the videos, the trucks are usually parked in the driveway on private property, waiting at the gate, not on the road. I know we have one video, I think a truck overshot the driveway and backed down the road. and then pulled into Berlin Auto Parts. We haven't seen any incidences where there's a concern that trucks are lining up,
Okay.
waiting to get in. It's usually one truck. Like this morning at 6:38, went back in the log, there was a truck sitting out in front of the gate on private property, and it was idling, but occupied.
And Chief, what is the response? You get that call? What is the actions they're taking, or what are the limitations to the actions you could take?
So, I mean, we can ask them if they please just, obviously turn their motors off. And then, I mean, it's really not our authority to tell them they can't be there until 7 a.m. Obviously, we can just let them know we got called up here because they're not supposed to have anybody here before 7. We can't tell them to leave. We can ask them to turn their motors off because it is a neighborhood.
And do you have the authority to, sorry, go ahead, Becky.
Sorry, thanks, Scott. And if they say no, Eric, if you come up to me and I'm in my truck and you say blah, 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 6:30, and I say no,
Private property,
can't.
it's,
But if I'm in the road, if I'm in the road and then I inch forward
yeah.
so that my cab is in the driveway,
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if you're at any part of the road, you're still in the public way, so all your
Okay.
tires are off the road.
all right. Scott?
I was just, several of the emails that I've read are all about the idling. Does the Berlin Police have the ability to ticket someone for idling more than 5 minutes?
On a public way, yes.
On a public way, but not on a private property?
Because the property's not open yet. So if it was open, we could say it's open to invitees and licensees, but it's not open yet. So that also, we also fall into a little snafu there. I think it's a $35 fine. Well, actually, at 5 minutes, a $40 fine. It's they contested. It cost us $200 to send an officer to court. So you gotta.
Is the fine under that statute $100?
The idling may have gone up.
Okay.
Unfortunately, being doing a lot of the paperwork for the last 5 years, I don't write a lot of tickets. So
Okay.
Chapter 90 is slightly behind, but I can definitely check into that.
Go ahead, Scott. I think you were going to ask a question. I want to cut you off.
I was going to say that although it costs $200 for our officer to go to court, it also costs time and money for the operator of the truck to go to court as well, right?
Well, yeah, correct. Except for the courts do Zoom as well, so they can do it right from the cab of their truck.
So here's a question I haven't seen anybody ask in any of the emails. Has anybody talked to Vaughn Thompson about this, about the complaints that are going, about his business and idling and what he may or may not be willing to do to help out, or?
Yeah,
Just
he
curious.
posted a sign, no idling vehicles. Actually, when I was up there with the building inspector and board of health, one of the complaints, I went up and spoke with him early on a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. There was a Ford F3 or F450 utility body truck. The gentleman was there to service his equipment, and it was actually like 7:15 in the morning, but the gate was still closed, and he was parked out front of the gate because he went to he was supposed to go to the original Berlin Auto Parts entrance to get to the equipment, and that's where Vaughn was waiting for him. And then when he realized that he was at the other gate, he went up and got him at the other gate and brought him back down. So I've spoken with Vaughn, building inspector has, board of health has. I mean, he definitely understands. He can talk till he's blue in the face and tell people not to show up until after 7 a.m. But these trucks are coming from an hour or 2 hours away to pick it up, and they may say, well, it's going to take me an hour and 45 minutes to get to Berlin, and wow, there's no traffic, took me an hour and a half. So
Right.
I definitely see both sides of it. I mean,
Is one solution that we change the starting hours to 8? Does that make any difference in any of this? Again, assuming there's agreement to do it, but I'm throwing out what are other solutions that allow the neighbor to, in theory, not be woken up at early hours of the morning by idling trucks. Because that's when most of the complaints are, is that 6:30 to 6:55 time period.
You are correct, Margaret. It is 100. Let's just pull it up. I personally never wrote anybody for it in the years I've been on the job. I don't think I ever recall a citation coming through for it. Usually most of the time we just ask people and they stop.
Well, I mean, I understand Vaughn's point of view. I understand the Turkish point of view, and I understand the neighbor's point of view too. Someone's going to win, someone's not going to win, someone's going to be happy, someone's going to be not as happy. But I think that we need to do something. There's been ample emails and concerns, sent to the board for a resident of town asking for help. So now here's our opportunity to do something, and maybe the something works, and maybe the something we need to jiggle, this time next year when it comes back. But go ahead, Margaret.
No, I'm thinking, I just want to quickly, so the license itself does not give penalties for does not list penalties for violations, does it, Mary? Do either one of them?
No.
I wonder if citing on the licenses themselves, I mean, and I know this is really going to not hold a ton of weight, but what about citing on the licenses themselves that penalties for violations could result in license revocation,
You're gonna
or
put all your
license
different
suspension.
bylaw fees in there, and the mass general fee for idling, and all the different fees are going to be sprinkled throughout the two licenses.
What? I'm sorry.
That's
Now, what was
still-
that,
that's-
Mary? I'm sorry.
You would be sprinkling bylaw, like non-criminal disposition fines,
No.
and also mass general anti-idling fines.
No, I was actually just saying, put a statement at the bottom saying penalties for violations may result in license suspension or revocation.
Okay, that's always the case with the license, but it can be explicitly stated on the face of it, yes.
I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not, but it just shows that there's some sort of enforcement mechanism.
Oh, I mean, Margaret, if it's kind of like a gentleman's handshake, oh, you agreed, I agreed, yep, we're good. Is it in writing? No, then you can't do anything to me. So
Mhm.
by putting what Mary's in there typing now, at least there's something there that everyone can point to say, we, you, therefore.
No, Mary. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's fine.
Can
So
we
it's
also-
suspension and or revocation. Suspension would be the next step after fees. Yeah.
It just keeps it in order. Good.
I don't know if they have a hearing right. I know that for liquor licenses, if you use language like that, there's a statutory process. I don't know if that's the case for, well, this is junk scrap, so maybe that's not really the big thing, but these are supposed to mirror the class 3 motor vehicle license that you're gonna amend tonight, I think.
Yeah,
have
I'd like to add the
different-
same. Yeah, I'd like to add the same language, but on that, just change license holder to penalties, including fees, suspension, and or revocation. Yeah, that's
And
good.
that was gonna be my question. If we're changing these, do we need to have Berlin Auto Parts come to a board meeting in the not so distant future so they're aware of it?
I think they've been in contact with them and they're aware that, were they not? I thought there was some mention of it in an email.
Yes,
This is
but I'm
a
saying this line that she just added.
This has been ongoing since I've been here for 8.5 years.
I don't think there'll be any surprise.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want it cleared out. I just don't want it to be, I didn't know. Well, my fault, I didn't read. Your fault, you didn't tell me that there were changes.
So these 7, 8, and 9 were always historically in there. They got dropped out in 2018 by mistake with shuffling. So that's just an error. The noise 11 is added by Berlin, by the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health. and Rich Hanks. So this is new
Right.
here, and it's also in the next license that you'll look at. And I'll add this language to the bottom of the next one too. This license is incidental to the motor vehicle class 3, which you're going to amend next. So the idea about all of this is always that this scrap and metal junk license was supposed to be secondary and incidental to the primary license on the property. So motor vehicle 3 sales can't go away, and this exists. This only exists as long as there's sale of class 3 junk cars. Why, I don't know. But also, this is supposed to be secondary in volume, passing through the gates to the cars. Cars are always supposed to be primary. This non-auto salvage is incidental to the pre-existing automotive sale and will be null and void if the class 3 motor vehicle license is lapses or is revoked. Not a big deal. I'm just bringing it up because historically it's.
No, I appreciate it. Are there any other comments, questions on this one?
I would just on number 12 there, I would not make it number 12. I'd make it its own separate line. So it's not a restriction. It is just a statement at the bottom. Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So, Margaret, do you want to handle these one by one with a motion and a vote?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. So is there a motion on the renewal for May 1st, 2022 through April 30th, 23 for the junk scrap metal license with restrictions and as added?
So moved.
All right. Stone Eye?
I'll second, but go ahead. I second.
All right. Stone Eye?
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
All right. One down, one to go. So the class 3 motor vehicle sales with stipulations. So is that the only change, Mary, that one? Just adding that line?
Yes, the only thing, this always had all of the conditions remained intact over years. And so the only thing here is adding what the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health wants and Rich on noise.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Stone Eye?
Can I ask a question?
Oh, go ahead, Margaret. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I just want to ask a question. I just want to be sure. And now, now we got the junk scrap metal license that's running May 1st of this year to April 30th of next year, and the class 3 license running from January of this year to December of this year. Mary, is there a requirement that the junk metal license run for a full year, or can it run concurrently with the class 3 license?
No, the law says what it says, and that's why it's the staggered dates that it is.
Oh, boy. Okay. That's unfortunate because there's always going to be staggered dates then from here on out. Okay.
Yep.
There always has been. It used to be
Yeah.
this and Sunday ice cream licenses were the oddballs that used to start May 1. And with a lot of pleading, the selectmen got rid of the $5 Sunday ice cream license for permission to sell frozen confections on the Lord's Day. So this is the only oddball license left.
All
Leave
right.
it to junk scrap metal.
All right. So we had a motion and a second. Any other questions? Margaret, June, Chief?
No, I just think that, he's gonna have to police his own area. I mean, all these incidents are coming in after 6:30 a.m., then maybe he'll have to show up for work at 6:30 and make sure people know.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully it'll work out. This will definitely make life better on Coburn Road for the neighbors. Stone Eye?
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
All right, so you, Mary, you don't need us to come down and sign it, correct? You good?
Oh, that goes out with e-signature. That's okay.
Okay,
Thank
All
you for
right.
working on that, Mary.
Yep, and Berlin Auto
Appreciate it.
Parts knows it's coming and they understand it's coming.
okay. All right, well,
What
I
was
think we're
the-
good. Eric,
Sorry.
thank you. Appreciate you hanging around.
All right.
Thanks,
Remind me what I need to come down and sign again?
The next thing that we're gonna talk about.
The poll
Oh,
hearings,
okay.
yes, and the next thing.
Yep. So,
Okay.
the next thing, otherwise known as the waiver of town's right of first refusal on sale for affordable housing unit at 29 Village Lane.
So Mary has prepared a letter and uploaded that and other documents into the agenda packet. I think the sale price was approved at 197,000. No, I don't have it in front of me.
And change.
And change. And change.
And change.
Mary ran it by our affordable housing consultant who approved or okayed it. And this letter is going to be going to DHCD.
Seems pretty straightforward. I know we've done them before. Comments, questions, motion?
Motion.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Thanks, Chris.
I was
No,
gonna
Chris,
say
you
mo-
should.
I'll say motion to approve.
I'll
Unless you had a
second.
question, Scott.
All right. Motion and a second, Stone Eye?
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
I was wondering,
Yeah.
as a town, is there things we can do to help promote the availability of this affordable unit so that it could potentially find a new buyer?
The last time we had a unit sell, we did cross-post it on Facebook and on the town's website. But DHCD, because we're a small town, has a marketing agent. We did ask Metro West if they want to step in and market it, and Stephanie demurred to the current DHCD marketing agent. And when they come up with their marketing material, I kind of nag them for it. They give it and then we can post it. We already have pictures, but we post it with all the information that they would market it with. Because it's in the town's interest to
Yep.
have it remain on the
Yep.
affordable housing roll,
Mhm.
so, yep.
Thank you.
All right, and last up under new business is the local building inspector appointment rescission, which Margaret, I think we can pass over, correct?
We pass over that. That is,
Mhm.
yeah, that is nothing the board needs to act on. We received a
All right.
resignation this week from our local building inspector.
All right. So last up at the hour, since we will not be going into executive session, are board questions, liaison comments, updates. One of you, I'm pointing at one of you.
Well, I had the ZBA meeting on the 13th of April. They're still discussing the 275 Central Street petitioner who has withdrawn without prejudice his request so that the petitioner can purchase an additional piece of land for access to the property from Taylor Road rather than from Route 62. The second hearing was 272 West Street, who would like a side lot variance to add a garage. The petitioner is to meet with the Conservation Commission and add wetlands and the buffer zone delineation to the plan. Then there was a contractor's yard request to be at Solomon Pond Mall by Jason L. from Bond Brothers and Shelley Clark from the Solomon Pond Mall. This would be for 18 to 24 months. Sears is marketing its own building through JLL. Sears owns the building. Receivership owns the land. And the ZBA concerns that they talked about were because they're bringing in soil, it would be possibility of soil contamination, lighting at night for night work, length of time of the agreement, because they're trying to sell Sears also. And my question was, would it deter shoppers because the lack of parking? I guess the questions I have too, which the ZBA will be, I'm sure, discussing, would be who, let's see, is this an allowable use for the land by the mall? Because it's industrial zoned, but it has an overlay. So which zone would trump which? And then because they're bringing in soil and storing it there, there may be a question, which I have talked to Margaret about, whether Earthworks needs to approve this soil importation. So the next meetings, because ZBA is getting quite a lot of requests, they've decided to post a meeting on May 11th and the 12th.
Wow.
And I believe let's see, the contractor's yard hearing would be May 11th. And that's my update.
Mr. Scott?
Historic Commission, I met with them at the Bullard House, where we went sort of over the addendum report that came out from Tim about repairs that should be needed to the house to bring it to sort of good shape, and which ones they agreed with and which ones they think we should go further on, mostly so that they could put together what they think is the best use of potentially both the money they already have approved and the money that they're hoping to get approved. I think the upside is that the original estimate could come down. There's some areas where the work that's been done to date is an okay way of doing it. There was a better way of doing it, but it's probably not worth ripping out what was already done to do it the better way at this point. And they're still looking to pursue some advice, and they have the resources on how to get a historic preservation architect on board. And they have a couple of names. They're talking to a couple of people, including working with CM, the Central Regional Planning Board, to get some advice on. So I think they're in pretty good shape. They posted another meeting because as they started reviewing the plan, they decided they wanted to make some motions on things and realized they couldn't. They could just discuss the plan because that's what was posted. So they posted another meeting to actually take some motions. And then as not a committee update, but something I think we should look at, town meeting is going to vote on a noise ordinance that has in it permitted events can exceed noise levels, and we don't have a process for permitted events. And so I think we should either us or delegate to someone to start coming up with a process that is not paper ordinance intensive for either us or the petitioners, to put together something that is permitted events. And I expect to, if you think about between baseball and softball games and soccer games with the new sound system up there, and events at 19 Carter, and events at that the Council of Aging is going to put on, and Berlin Seniors, that we should not have something that's going to force us to do a ton of stuff on it. And then does anyone, I should know the answer to this, but don't, Memorial Day activities are on this year? Do we know anyone who's actually planning them and have dates? Dates will be Monday, but times?
Well, we could always ask Roger Bradley on Monday.
Yeah.
Probably your best bet.
And then I think Earth Day was a great success. I don't know how much of town they got done. I did my sort of little stretch, and it's fun taking sort of different parts of town every year and getting to see them. And when you're walking, you definitely notice it a little bit differently than you do when you're driving through.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at the dump a couple of times, and at one point, Jim Spinney pulled in with the green truck full of bright yellow bags, and then I came back a couple hours later, and in comes Fred in the white truck with big yellow bags. So that was probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so they were definitely still picking up. I know when I came down to the town offices, sure enough, I hit the bridge at Big Hole, and there's a bag of McDonald's trash on the road, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So I did stop and pick it up and I'm thinking things that I can't say on camera. All right. Scott, anything else? Oh,
I'm good.
yes, Margaret.
I just wanted to follow up on one of Scott's questions on the permit process. So last year, when there was some back and forth with 19 Carter, we did start gathering some documentation. So we have something to start working from on that.
All right. Margaret, take yourself back off mute because 2 of my 4 are for you. Has there been any movement on Maddie and Fred getting together to talk about the true amount of dead trees in town?
I do know that they've connected with each other via email.
Okay.
I don't know where they're at on it currently.
Okay.
Do
right.
you have any latest info on that?
No. All right.
No. Okay, it's 9 o'clock.
All right. I'll go quick. Margaret, the second question, also speaking about Fred, do you know if there's been any movement about him and Mr. Hanks talking about the, maybe just we need a door lock down at the town offices for the food pantry door?
That I don't know. I don't have an update on that one.
Okay. All right. So the sewer issue at 1870, was wondering if I can have the board's permission to be the point person so that I can, direct conversations more with the church. And I've reached out to Faith Lindsay as well, and she's kind of psyched that this is coming back around for any type of discussion. Basically, just so that I can kind of like run with it, I'll bring you guys back, updates, where we are, here's a meeting, here's what's said, here's next steps. But to really just kind of, instead of saying, hey, can I send another email? It's just.
No, I don't have a problem with it. I just hope that, when there's any decisions to be made, they'll come back to this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know that Margaret has asked the same for the church as well, because I had reached out to Stan and a couple others who then pointed, them to a couple other people who then pointed them to a couple other people. So it's kind of like, all right, who's going to be the person at the church that's going to drive this? And then, I'll drive it from here, and then I'll keep in touch with Faith Lindsay as well.
Because
Right.
yeah, I'm not quite sure what direction that will go.
I don't either, Chris. It's really going to depend upon the church if they want to come and like step up and help and, have these meetings, with Board of Health and potential next steps. No one knows what the next steps are because there's so many unknown questions. So until we can get all parties in a room, it's going to remain an unknown question for the next 40 years.
And it's just sort of a gathering data type of thing, like the rest of the
Yep.
items on the ARPA list.
Yeah, that's just it. It's kind of like, all right, so we need everybody to get together, to get the documents, to get, excuse me, together, to maybe find a person or a company that can come in and give us options on what we can do.
Right.
But I can't do any of that until we can get the people from the church to come and want to talk to the Board of Health and, anybody else who wants to come to talk to the Board of Health. So it's the wrangling of cats right now. All right. And then a ponder. I don't need an answer, but a ponder. I had a call from a gentleman, lives in town, but he works second shift, actually second and third shift, 3 to 3 every day. So he's not around for any of our town meetings, and obviously would love to vote, but right now there isn't a mechanism to vote. So, unlike an absentee ballot where you can be like, hey, Eloise, I need an absentee ballot, and, magical, it shows up in your mailbox the next day. There's no mechanism right now for that. So for a town meeting. So I told him that I would, just throw it out there tonight and have us start thinking, is there something out there that we could do that, for those folks who maybe can't come down to the town meeting, childcare, work, something, health, folks who work, can't get back in town. I don't know.
I think there's going to be people who can't make it whenever we schedule a meeting. If we were to move it to a Saturday, then there were people that complained because they had to work on a Saturday. So
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, and I don't think that there's such a thing. Is there, Margaret? Or
I don't believe the law allows for proxy voting or absentee
Right.
voting at a town meeting. That's something we could ask. I could look in the
I
statute,
think
but I
I
don't
think I
believe that.
actually asked Eloise that one time, and she said, no, you can't do that.
She did, because
Oh.
actually the question went to Eloise and then Eloise deflected the question to me.
Oh, okay. So it's a
so-
scheduling thing then, more or less. I mean,
Yeah.
we can't do anything about the inability to, vote ahead of time for town meeting.
I know. Scott?
Well, I was gonna say, we can talk to our legislatures and say, because it's an issue that's not unique to Berlin,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, but
and,
the problem is though that people make motions on the floor to change what the vote is, and then they're not voting on the right thing.
right. Well,
Right.
right. And so you'd have to, if we work for the legislature, they'd have to figure out a way to work that in. Like if you proxy voted, that means that vote on that article is irrelevant if the article changes, because obviously you wouldn't know the intent of the person because you wouldn't know what the change is. Yeah.
So again, just food for thought, something to ponder. Do some research, see what you can get. The guy understood, but he was just hoping that we'd be able to come up with maybe something that would help. I guess he's worked, second, third shift for, many, many years, and unfortunately misses all of our town meetings, and, is very interested and is a lifelong resident of the town, and actually knew my older brother. I love that. Are you so-and-so's little sister? And you're like,
Was he
maybe.
able to come to the Saturday town meeting that we had 2 years ago?
I think so, yeah, but he just
that's
can't come
good.
to during the week meetings. All right. Okay, those are my 4. So thank you. I will follow up with the principal at Berlin, at Tohoto, Diane, and check with her about babysitting and see if there's a possibility. It might be too late in the game, but
Yeah, we don't really know what the interest is either. That's difficult. I know.
I know, and that's just it. A couple years ago, there was a heavy, school item on there. A couple years ago, there was a heavy, marijuana item on there. This year, knock wood, there doesn't seem to be anything of like, that people are going to come in mass. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, we have no need for executive session. So with that, take a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I would second.
All right. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Key-fi.
All right, town meeting 6:30. Don't be late. We'll see you on Monday.
6
And we're
o'clock.
meeting at 6
Well,
o'clock.
6 for us, but 6:30 for everybody else.
Good
Yes.
night, everyone.
See you soon.
All
Bye.
right, take care.